Okay, smoke is still here, still looks kind of orangey and so forth. Although interestingly enough, it did drop, I guess, the rating stuff. It's like, what, 152? I guess the funny thing is here, when you look at some places, like just a little bit further north, it's like so low, like 79 compared to like, what, 145, just like a little bit across. That big of a difference, huh? Makes me wonder if I go over there and do like a capture, like in other times or something like that, whether or not it'll look interesting. What did I read today? More drones landing in baseball games apparently? What is this? This one says, drone lands in Wrigley Field, outfield during game. Umpires hastily cleared the field during a game between the Cleveland Indians and Chicago Cubs on Wednesday night when a small drone flew into Wrigley Field over the bleachers and landed on the grass in a deep left corner. So they actually got the drone this time. And I was looking at the picture, I was like, what is this? It looks like it's a Mavic 2 series. And this one has like, what, a GoPro attached to it? So what happened? Was it too much weight? And oh, battery drain, force land. It makes me wonder in this case, is there any point in actually putting that GoPro there when you already have like the camera on the actual drone? Or was someone just doing this as a test to see if it actually works? I don't think that's a good idea to fly over like a stadium with a live game, so to speak, to do a test like that. Wouldn't that be funny if it was actually the new GoPro, because there was one that was announced, the Hero 9 Black. Apparently this one is $349.98 and it has things like 5K recording now for an action camera, which should be a step up from the old one. There's also a really large front LCD screen, which should make it useful, I guess, for people trying to film themselves so you can get an instant preview. Would that be enough to encourage people, I guess, to actually upgrade? Again, it seems like the biggest thing is the 5K footage. And I guess without that with drones, it'll be interesting to see whether or not, again, DJI can survive in places like the US just because of all those stories about Chinese-made drones, the fear of spying and all that. So with that in mind, it's kind of interesting reading, I guess, this article with the opinions on what they could do. It says, after TikTok, what's next for a Chinese drone maker? There are 4 ways DJI can alleviate national security concerns and keep the lion's share of the US market. Their first point is, a US company buys DJI and moves it into the US as the White House wants to do with TikTok. This is a terrible idea for all sorts of reasons, starting with the likelihood that Beijing wouldn't let it happen. Number 2, run in place. A US company buys DJI and continues to run it in China. Only companies like Apple Inc. and Google, which designs in the US and only subcontracts manufacturing under tight security in China, can get away with this and still be trusted. But DJI products are both designed and manufactured in China, and any US managers there would still be operated under Chinese law. Third one, it says verify. A trusted US company serves as a clearinghouse for DJI products in the US, inspecting both hardware and software in clean room setup where they get full access to source code and other IP details. Interestingly enough, they even talk about here how DJI got people, I guess, to investigate their drones to say, hey, there's no spying and so forth, etc., etc. Some people say otherwise. But then they make the point here, it says, but DJI updates its software frequently, both in the vehicles themselves and in the libraries it distributes. So other companies can make compatible apps, and who's to say that later updates don't introduce security holes? That's kind of an interesting point too. And their fourth point says integrate. A US company collaborates with DJI, replacing key components with US equivalents in the US. This is the brain transplant option, which could potentially result in the best of both worlds solution. Excellent Chinese hardware for non-security critical parts and trusted US components where they matter most in flight control and data. I have a hard time seeing how some of this would actually work. It's like what they said in this article. They said basically the third and the fourth point would be the most plausible. I don't know, I can't see that happening. Interestingly enough, with the TikTok, there was actually news where even with that proposal where they have to buy it out, then all of a sudden China introduced a law saying, no, we're not going to allow you to sell like all this stuff like source codes or whatever. So ultimately, to my understanding, if they did buy TikTok, you're basically getting like kind of like the brand. You don't get anything like the codes and the algorithm. Then what's the point? There's just so much politics to this stuff, huh? Alright, see you guys later.